Hello, BookTube. I've got a little mail for you today on a Thursday that is every bit as sunny and mild as I expected. The snow that did indeed fall all day yesterday and well into the night is almost gone. It's almost disappeared completely. And I think it's going to stay that way. Although the system that was barely anything on all the radar apps that I have on my iPad, the system that was barely anything yesterday suddenly looks like it's a big deal. So it's possible that we'll get precipitation in Boston of some kind tomorrow. Tomorrow night, I'm thinking, and into Saturday. But I don't know that it'll be snow, much less accumulated snow. But I do have some mail. The bean, for those of you, there were a great many of you who caught mention in one of yesterday's videos when I mentioned that Frida's not feeling well. And a great number of you emailed to ask about that. It warmed my heart. Quite a few of you emailed and said, you might not have made a big deal of it. We know that is a big deal. So, what's going on? How is she? She's not quite herself. She's still not quite herself. At least right now, she's willing to be on camera. Yesterday, she just wanted to be on my lap, and that's all. But she slept peacefully through the night. She ate her supper. She is keeping herself hydrated. She's perfectly happy to pee and poop outside, so she's not herself. She's definitely feeling weird, probably because she's not feeling well on the inside, and that she's not accustomed to that at all. But it could be a lot worse. So, hence you getting videos at all, right? If it were worse than this, if I were actually worried, you wouldn't be getting videos, because I like to make videos for you when I'm happy. That's kind of, I have some hard and fast nuclear rules for booktubing. And one is that I want to be happy when I do it. There's no reason at all, no reason for either one of us for me to go on here and make a video when I'm feeling upset or angry or sad or worried. Although I have made videos in all of those conditions, I still regret it. I look back on those with regret. And of course, nuclear rule number 2 is that it can't be work. It can't be the long, tedious slog that I hear YouTubers and even some booktubers describe, where I've shot the video, sure, and then I had to do retakes, but then the editing, oh man, it took hours and hours to edit. I can't imagine why anyone would do that. There is no payoff that's worth that. None whatsoever. I only have a handful of those nuclear rules, and of course, Frida is intimately connected to one of them. I can't. She's okay, those of you who've been emailing, and I think she's getting better, slowly but surely. I think she's feeling better. A bug of some kind, something that she ate that disagreed with her, or something like that that's working its way through. I am very hopeful that by the end of the week, by the weekend, she'll be fine. But we have some mail, and no periodicals that I could see so far. I think the periodicals are probably on their way on foot. But the mail is giving me vibes here. It's giving me odd sensations. I think there's at least one violation of rule number 1 in this mail haul. Those of you who are new to the channel, rule number 1 is don't send me a book. Don't do it. Don't do it. No matter what you think, don't go to the bother of sending me a book. I have enormous numbers of books, and I have access to enormous numbers of other books. The last thing in the world I need is for you to go to the bother of sending me a book in the mail, so don't do it. Of course, as I mentioned to one person just this morning, that very much doesn't apply to ebooks. You can send me as many ebooks as you want, but printed books, it's always a bad idea. I will smile and I will say, oh, isn't this wonderful on the video? But that's because I'm being courteous. I almost certainly won't want to keep the book. So don't. It's a waste of all of our time. But anyway, maybe not. Maybe these are not violations of rule number 1. Oh, there she goes. She gets very high-strung when she's not feeling good. And a noise outside just made her bolt. Very strange to see. Very strange to see this dog, of all the dogs I've had, being timid. But she's not. She's not timid. She's just not feeling good. That's all. Okay, this first one is a romance novel. Great. So that's not a violation of rule number one. This is by Caitlin Cruz, who's fantastic. And it's Summer Nights with a Cowboy. This is a Kittredge Ranch novel. And the tagline on the cover is "He'll make your dreams come true." And it's one of these square, actually not a square, but it's one of these oddly sized mass market paperbacks. So they would ordinarily stop there, and they don't. And the reason why I am 100% convinced is because this is the shape of a Kindle. This new shape is the shape of a Kindle. And for some reason, I'm thinking that is what sold this in the designer pitch meeting. The designer said, look, you're going to have to change everything. Bookstores aren't going to be ready for it. The bookstore physical displays where people see these things are not set up for a book this size, but we want it to be the shape of a Kindle. Which is, to me, if that's true, it's a horrendously embarrassing case of the tail wagging the dog. But anyway, contemporary romance novel. What have we got here? So this comes out at the end of March, March 29th. And this is the latest book in the Kittredge Ranch series. I think I have a couple of these. Traveling nurse Janny Atwood has come to Cold River to uncover old family secrets and maybe, if she's lucky, find a new home. That the gorgeous, glowering sheriff next door thinks her caring for her elderly neighbors is a nefarious scheme is a bonus. Having never been anything but a good girl, Janie finds Zach Kittredge's simmering suspicion an excellent reason to try being a little dangerous instead. So he suspects her of preying on the elderly, and she likes that because she's always been the one person that no one would ever suspect that of. So she's actually getting off on being suspected. That's wonderful. That is wonderful. Sheriff Zach Kittredge is okay with being intense. Me too. He takes his loner status as serious as he takes his responsibility to protect Cold River, and he thinks cheerful Janny might be a threat to the town. But the more he gets to know her, the more he faces the truth. She's brighter than sunshine, and he's like a moth to her flame. All right, wonderful. Well, I'm sold already. I was sold in that first bit about how instead of being romance heroine outraged at being suspected of nefarious activities, Janny actually likes that. That sold me right away. So we have a contemporary cowboy romance. Those of you who know my sister from another mister, Sarah at the Bookish Knitter, know she has a weak spot for contemporary cowboy romances, and she is gradually communicating that weak spot to me. So. All right, let's see what this next one is. What have we got here? Uh-oh. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. A violation of rule number one. Hi, Steve. I know this violates rule number one, but you commented that you haven't read it, and I think it does a good job of justifying both the urban and the fantasy, and it's great fun to boot. Well, but okay, but that doesn't excuse rule number one. This is Hard Magic, book one in the Grim Noir Chronicles of Larry Correia. So I was one of the hosts for FFS, for February Fantasy Stories. And we broke down our prompts by categories, and the final category was urban romance. And this came up, have you ever read the Grim Noir series? And I'd never read them, and one of you sent this to me. Okay, a very generous act, but still flagrant violation of rule number one. And then what is this next one? Oh no. Same thing. This is book two in the Grim Noir Chronicles. Same sender. Again, a violation of rule number one. Oh my, an egregious violation. 2 books. Oh my. All right. Well, it's urban fantasy, and not a lot of urban fantasy really appealed to me of the urban fantasy that I read for FFS. I haven't read these, so I'll give it a try. So we have 2 urban fantasies from a series. Now I'm wondering if any of the rest of you have read this. And a cowboy romance for later this month, which I will read tonight. Fantastic. All right, so that is the mail. It's a bit of a cautionary tale. 2 violations of rule number one. But there might be more mail, and if not, there'll certainly be mail tomorrow. So I will wrap this up for now, and I will see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.